What is up, guys? Coop here, and today we are going to be doing the final of my build guides of doing the Undead custom-based characters. So, the Undead are finally out, which is great, and if you guys haven't checked out, be sure to check out my Fane guide as well. So, how exactly do you build a Undead character? Well, first off, they have a different Undead for each of the races here. And Undead actually have a variety of different things that aren't fully mentioned when you look at their talents and everything. But basically, instead of receiving actual base healing, healing does damage to them. Now you might be saying, how do I heal? Well, they actually heal from poison-based attacks. Very different gameplay altogether. So when you play an Undead, I highly suggest that you play the game as a actual live character, and then later on maybe try to go with the Undead characters, because it's a totally different way of life and a way of playing. Now, are they useful to have? Yes. They give you a different sort of niche thing that they can do, which is very helpful. They can go through Death Fog. They don't require lockpicks at all. A lot of people are giving me a lot of slack about my Fane guide, but Undead actually make decent rogues because they can actually lockpick with having no issue whatsoever, which is really awesome. So, how do you build the first of the races, the Undead Dwarf? Well, first of all, they're undead, so they get healed from poison rather than actual healing. So make sure that you don't, get healing spells thinking that you're going to heal yourself, because it's not going to work. The next thing is they change how dwarves talent is. It used to give you +2 strength, now it just gives you more vitality and dodge. So what exactly do you build with a dwarf type character? You also have Dome of Protection, which restores magic and physical armor and increases elemental resistances. So having all these together is not a bad idea. You can already see what type of build you can go with the dwarf. It's obviously going to be a tanky one. And the final ability that all the Undead have is Play Dead, which basically they can just escape combat for up to 3 turns. And it does not break invisibility or sneaking, which is kind of cool to have. But what I like about the dwarf character is it really gives it a powerful, tanky build. So, let us choose Fighter, because that's the clear decision here. And what I would do is obviously go with the Geomancer, but instead of going with the bouncing shield and everything, I would actually go with Contamination. Just because that's a really good one. Battle Stomp's also really good to keep there. So Battle Stomp is awesome because it gives you a CC based ability. I think every single character that you build should always have a crowd control based ability. It's just very good to have in general, especially when you're wanting to knock down people. You want to keep somebody out of the fray at all times is my always go-to things, especially on the harder difficulties. Next is Contamination. The reason that I would say this is it basically heals multiple targets, it damages multiple targets, and it turns the blood surfaces into poison, which if you stand on that heals you up for a exponential amount, like a lot. So I think it's not too bad of a thing to do because it gives you a heal. And the last one I would say is Fortify, which just gives you some more armor, which just makes you a tanky dude, which is good to have. Now, of course, combat abilities, you just want to stick to Warfare and Geomancer. However, with the civil abilities, it doesn't really matter what you do, but I always like doing Thievery because the fact that they, don't require lockpicks, since they could just use their bony fingers, which is really awesome. Thievery's really not a bad one to go with. I'm going to just say, honestly, it's kind of like the default for all the Undead. And you might be saying, well, maybe I just don't want that with my character. You don't have to. But as you go throughout the game, it's kind of nice just having that, because then you can sort of pickpocket your way or picklock your way into getting better rewards. Like right at the beginning in the ship, you can get a helmet, which is basically a cooking pot, which is just, it gives you that nice little boost over time. And there's multiple examples of that. So that's all for the Undead Dwarf. So what's the next thing? Well, we have the Undead Elf. which actually has a really nice ability of the Corpse Eater. Corpse Eater is really cool because it gives you not only the memories of the dead, and also gives you any quests or whatnot, but it also gives you an alternative way of healing. It's one of the few ways that you can actually heal as an undead character. Now, keep in mind though, because of them being an elf, they no longer have the talents of the finesse and everything. So this is just honestly another character that you can go full reign. You can build it however you want, which is kind of nice to have, especially with doing what you want and being able to be like, alright, this is a character where you can build whatever, whenever. But it's actually a nice time for me to tell you about some of the different healings that you can do. The one particular healing I like to do is, if I show you, I think it's under one of the, is it Wayfarer? I think it's Wayfarer. I go down here. It's very important that you don't use abilities like First Aid because those can actually damage you. However, doing things like elemental arrowheads is not a bad idea. Also, another way that you can heal is using... Actually, I'll just show you with another character in a second. So you got undead humans. Undead humans are, I would say, the go-to rogue for the undead. And the reason I would say that is they get that initial initiative, which is really nice, and that crit chance. Now, a lot of people have been asking me about the backstab talent because it was originally in the first build, but not in the latest build. That's only default for daggers now. I want to thank one of my commenters for pointing that out. So daggers are the only things that can do backstabs now. But as a rogue, I think these guys are just really good, because this is the point where you'll get the part where instead of you doing sneaking, you do thieving, and then you're able to lockpick really easily. And what type of talent would you want to choose with that? The pawn's not a bad one. I actually think the pawn's one of the best ones. Also, another way of actually healing your undead character is Leech. Leech is also one of those just really good sort of talents to get if you just want an alternative way of healing. So, overall, not bad idea. But I think the pawn's not a bad one. I mean, getting a lot of free movement is exactly what a rogue really needs. So, that's not bad. And last one, which is the one I was going to show you guys. They get Sophisticated, which gives them fire resistance and poison resistance. But the thing that I wanted to show you guys is an alternative way of healing. So, the alternative way of healing is you get the Summoner Tree. So the Summoner Tree gives you sort of this alternative way of healing, which is really nice. Which I'm just going to boost that up to max to show you guys this. So what you can do is you can conjure an incarnate, and then do an elemental totem, and let me just actually lower it down to Geomancer too, and then do this. So the reason that you would actually do this is, actually you would go with this one, is you can make a poison incarnate from the poison dart and heal yourself with that incarnate, because the incarnate will get a poison spit ability, which you can use to heal up your character, and also you'll get an elemental totem, which will always focus on healing you over damaging if anytime you are roughly around 60% health. I've only tested it out a little bit, but honestly, gotta say, with an undead party, you can have multiple of these totems up. Like, I think I got a maximum of 3 out without having any issues. And I was able to just heal up like crazy amounts. So the Summoner Tree is not really that bad of a tree, especially if you're wanting to play undead. Especially as a lizard folk, I would definitely say that's not a bad move at all. But keep in mind, I'm not sure. I haven't really gotten to fully testing this, but I don't know if the poison resistance would block you from getting heals. I know it's kind of a dumb question to say, but I still gotta test that out a little bit more. But from what I've seen, it doesn't really affect it. I think it only affects poison-based attacks trying to hit you, but even then they heal you, so I don't really understand why they kept that for the undead lizard, but time will tell. I'm still doing a little bit more testing, but that's basically that. So anyways, guys, I know that was kind of a lot, especially because the undead race is kind of a little bit more complicated, but just to kind of go through these one last time. So basically, you want your dwarf to be a fighter, and you want to use sort of the geomancer trees to give them a bunch of healing stuff. Talent would be probably leech to get you in even more ways of healing. Elf, you can build them however you want, honestly. You already have one good heal, you could add maybe another heal. It really depends, but I mean, you got free reign with this character since you've already got a heal, which is important. And the talents that you could do is honestly anything depending on whatever you build. Undead human. Undead humans are 100%, I would say, really good rogues or rangers. So definitely build that. Remember to obviously always keep putting in your abilities into thievery, just because of, keep in mind you have your lockpicks that you have to worry about. Pawn is definitely looking like a really good one. And the last part is the lizard, which you can kind of build however you want, but the lizards are definitely lacking with only having fire resistance, which isn't too bad, but it's not great. Anyways though, I thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and tell me in the comments below some of the builds that you guys are doing with the undead. I'm going to be trying to do some gameplays. I'm going to be trying to do an actual review of this game after I get really deep into it. And then I actually kind of want to get into the story segments. So I'm trying to figure out where all the different encounters are to make multiple videos to help you guys out. But be on the lookout for that in the future, and I will see you guys next time.